Welcome to Real Foot Forward, a West Tennessee podcast from Discovery Park of America in Union City, Tennessee. Today's episode is brought to you by Final Flight Outfitters.
Thank you, Zach, and welcome to Real Foot Forward, a West Tennessee podcast where we explore the history, the people, and the culture of our home here in West Tennessee. I am your host, Scott Williams. Okay, Zach, before I introduce today's very special guest, what is something you have discovered this week at Discovery Park of America?
Well, I realized I hadn't yet mentioned on here the new LED interactive floor that guests can discover when you walk into the Discovery Center. Guests of all ages enjoy the different screens you can walk on, which include piano keys, lily pads, rockets, and so much more. I also recently discovered that folks who have events or a wedding here can also have their name or business logo added to it. Pretty cool.
Thank you for that, Zach. Our guest today is Lieutenant Colonel Bernard House. He's a decorated U.S. Army officer and professor of military science at UT Martin and the director of the ROTC battalions at UT Martin and Murray State University. Welcome, Lieutenant Colonel House.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
So we're going to talk a little bit about leadership and what you're doing with the ROTC. I know you have been recognized with numerous awards like the Bronze Star with 3 oak leaf clusters, the Defense Meritorious, is that how you say it? Meritorious Service Medal, and the Meritorious Service Medal with a silver oak leaf cluster. And you're an honoree at this upcoming Discovery Awards, which we're really excited about having you. Tell us a little bit about growing up. I know you're from Lexa, Arkansas. What is the genesis story of Lieutenant House?
Yeah, so you're right. I grew up in Lexa, Arkansas, and I always joke when I do meetings and stuff. So Lexa is about a population. It actually has about 350 people in the town. I actually say it's about 50 people, but most of them are relatives of mine, close family friends. So growing up in a small town was a really good feeling because everybody knew everybody. And I think that's really where I got, my foundation and my startings from, because not only my family instilling values in me, but the neighbors and individuals in that neighborhood instilling those values and have, promoting us and making sure that we be successful. I got interested in the military because my father was a Vietnam veteran. So he served for a number of years before he was medically retired from the Army. And he served as a field artillery soldier during the Vietnam War. And I'm actually a field artillery officer. So my initial thing was I enlisted in the National Guard, and I planned on being an enlisted soldier. But I was fortunate enough to receive a 4-year ROTC scholarship to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And, from there, the journey kind of started. So I commissioned from there in 1997, and I have served in Germany, Korea, Kentucky, Washington, D.C., New York, amongst a few places. And I had a few deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq over my career. So I've been fortunate. The Army has afforded me a lot of opportunities to travel and also a lot of opportunities to develop myself.
What do you think the opportunities to travel, how did that enlighten your life and contribute to what you do now?
Yeah, it was kind of the exposure, especially the overseas tours, what we call Old Conan's tours. So staying in Germany, we were in Germany for 4 years there with my wife, and my son was born there. And then 2 tours in Korea. But being exposed to different cultures kind of helped you better understand, one, how fortunate sometimes we are here in the United States, but you understand the different cultures and their different kind of beliefs and things like that. That has really helped me throughout my military career, and then being here in ROTC, because it helped me be open-minded, because we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different cultures, different types of beliefs. So it's helping me be open-minded, listen, and kind of learn about other people, their culture, and their beliefs.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's Robert Kirkland, who founded Discovery Park, got to travel not with the military, but with his work as an import-export executive. And so he felt like traveling did the same thing, really exposes you. That was really one of his reasons for creating Discovery Park, was to be able to provide an experience that was unique, although we can't load everybody up and take them all over the world, but we can bring a little bit of the world here to Discovery Park. What do you feel like you mentioned that when you were a young person in Arkansas, that your dad was an inspiration. When you were looking at the lists of, the paths that you could go down, what contributed to the one you chose?
Yeah, it was him. So my father, like a typical Vietnam veteran, he didn't really speak much on his service in Vietnam. Again, I remember because he hung one citation in the house, which I have that citation hanging in my office, which it was his Army Commendation Medal from Vietnam with the time frame over there. And then it was his honorable discharge from the military. And I think that was what really got me on the path of going into the military. Just kind of, seeing how proud he was, because I mean, he wore his veterans hat every day, almost everywhere I go, how proud he was and of his service to the nation. And then just reading the award, his award, and saying, hey, his nation was also proud of him for serving our nation. So that kind of, piqued my interest there. And like I said, originally I was going to enlist just like he did. I didn't have any interest in going to college. High school was enough for me. But honestly, it was at the time that Desert Storm was going on. And I was watching the news clip of General Colin Powell doing a briefing from the Pentagon. And that really sparked my interest on how to become an officer. One, I didn't know who he was at that point, but it was just fascinating to see him standing there briefing all those news reporters and stuff about what was going on with the war. So just kind of did a little research, found out about ROTC, linked in with a ROTC recruiter, and did all the qualifications. I was fortunate enough to get an ROTC scholarship. Now, 20 plus years later in the military, I think the driving force is my family. I want to make naturally my mother proud. She's still living. My father's deceased now, but I definitely wanted to make my parents proud. And then there's my wife and kids that I always wanted to provide for them. Also, set a role model for my kids and stuff. So that's kind of the driving force, is what kept me going for 20 plus years and keeps me going now.
What are the ages now of your kids?
My son is 25 and my daughter's 20.
Okay, yeah, that's right about where I am as well. It's nice when you kind of get them over the hump, and they start to become friends, and you can chat with them on a whole different level.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and I'm extremely proud of him. Like my son, he actually does a lot of I don't understand it a lot, but he's online streaming, does really good at that. So that's his passion, and that's what he's poured his heart into. And my daughter's in her sophomore year of college, and she wants to be a graphic designer. So just kind of watching them grow. And the life of a military child is not easy because every 2 to 3 years we're moving. So they have to get readjusted to another place. So to watch them grow and kind of live out their dreams is heartwarming for a father.
Where are you based out of now? Where's home?
So home is Martin, Tennessee, but our official headquarters is Fort Knox, Kentucky. It's where United States Army Cadet Command is located at.
And then where are they living?
My wife and kids right now are at Fort Knox. So on the weekend, I'll drive the 3 hours from Martin to Fort Knox and then come back down for the school week.
Yeah, excellent. Was there a moment? I mean, you've had a very illustrious, interesting career where you've been all over. Was there a moment where you thought, what the heck have I done? This is not what I want.
It absolutely was. It was not. I never had a moment like that. And there have been moments that that has been extremely frustrating, and then you kind of I think you look at life a little differently. I could put it like that, but it's always been my passion to serve. So I've always looked at, even when I'm frustrated or some kind of obstacle pop up into place, I look for ways to overcome that and continue on with my service.
What are a moment or two where where it all came together and you knew you had made the right decision and you knew this is what you were meant to do with the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think that happened probably, and this is probably going to be strange for you to hear. My first tour in Iraq. All right, and the reason I say strange because most people don't associate that with a war zone, but naturally it was in a war zone. But seeing how we were treated, the Iraqi people welcoming us and stuff, because at that point you transition from being a soldier to being an ambassador of the United States, and they welcome you with open arms, and you provide an opportunity, for that country at that point to make them better, to give them the freedoms that we have here in the United States. So it was at that point that I kind of realized, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do, because it's I'm able to not only be an ambassador to the United States and represent the United States, but we're helping out other countries, and it's changing history.
Leadership is obviously been a big cornerstone of your life and career to this point. Can you share with us a mentor or two who you feel like really lived out what you wanted to replicate in your career, other than your dad?
Yeah, well, I had an uncle that served. He's a retired sergeant first class, Reese Bailey, and he's still a factor in my life to this day, and attend every promotion ceremony and every command ceremony that I have. But again, he's one of those people that I can look at his life and his path, traveling around in the military, leading soldiers and stuff, and he definitely set that inspiration for me amongst being able to reach out to him and talk on a one-on-one level and talk about things. And I have another mentor. He's a retired full colonel, Dwayne Wagner. And he's one of those individuals. He served for almost 30 years in uniform as a military police officer. But what I respect about him the most is that he's going to invest his time in you. He invests time in me. Whenever I pick up the phone and call, he's going to answer. And it's not one of those likable conversations sometimes. He's going to listen to what I got to say, and then he's going to be candid and tell me the truth, even if I don't need to hear it. So I think those two individuals are, definitely still like the foremost mentors in my career.
What for those of us that are listening that are not in the military but are leaders in our businesses or our churches or our schools, what's some advice that you share with your friends who are leaders on how they can be successful?
Yeah, I think the first thing is communication. I think even though you're in a certain position, it's okay to go around and talk to your subordinates in the military, or your workers if you're in the private sector. So communication is key. Let them see that you're human, and kind of interact with them. Part of that is also listening. Taking that bottom up feedback, because sometimes you get into position and certain things you won't see at your level. So sit down and listen and say, hey, what's going on in the organization, or how can we make the organization better? And take that bottom up feedback from those individuals. And then it's also the giving back. So it's okay to reach down if you see somebody, like I got several mentees, I see potential in them. So I reach down monthly, and I engage with them and see how they're doing, and then I give them some tips to make sure they're staying on the right path.
What are some of the opposite end of that? What are some things you've seen through your career where you've experienced or seen leaders that have fumbled? What are some of those landmines to be watching out for as leaders?
Yeah, isolating yourself. So I did battalion command at Fort Drum, New York. And it's easy for a battalion commander to become isolated because you're the only commander in that organization. So what I mean by that is, don't put so many walls in between you and the rest of your soldiers, your formationers, your workers. Make sure you're accessible to them. If you look at me, I never sit with my door closed. So if anybody want to come in and talk with me, they got access to me. So I think that's a landmine. And then it goes back to the communication piece too. If you only like talking to higher ranking individuals and you're not walking around and talking to other individuals inside your formation, I think you're going to miss 80% of what's going on within your organization, and probably some really good ideas to make things better.
When you look across this is a question you may have to think about, so I'm springing it on you. When you look across your career, who was the best leader that you either reported to or that you saw, that you encountered, who you most wanted to emulate?
Yeah, so it's actually a couple of them, but so one starting off with, it was a full colonel I worked with was a brigade commander. He was named Bill Oslin, and he was the commander of 3rd Brigade, 1st ID, when I was a major at the time. And he was just one of those guys. He was engaging. He was easily to approach, and he didn't mind sharing knowledge with you. And I think at that point I had been in the military probably for about 12 years, but I learned so much from him because he would just sit down and have a conversation with you, and he would educate you along the fact. And he was one of those individuals that kept a calm demeanor all the time. So even under pressure situation where you thought his temperature was going to get rise, he did not. And then another one is she's now Lieutenant General Donna Martin. And at the time that I worked for her, she was a colonel, but she's since been promoted. And I never seen somebody that was so caring and so passionate about not only her job, but the people that she worked with. Again, very calm demeanor all the time. But if you came to her and you needed to talk or you had like an issue or something like that, she was going to make the time to speak with you. Until this day, that's another one that, even being a 3-star general, if it's something that you need and I reach out to her, she's going to make the time to talk with them. So those individuals kind of helped me mold into, further on into the leader that I wanted to be.
So when you're talking to young folks who are considering what they want to do next with their lives, what do you think the military has to offer young people who may be listening, who are trying to decide what their next steps are?
The first thing I would say is honorable service to our nation. And I think that's something that people miss. But if you want to, really serve your nation, really represent, like I was saying before, be an ambassador to the United States, is no better thing than the military. Everywhere you go that you put on this uniform, that's the way people are going to see you. They're going to see you as an ambassador to the United States. You're going to get thanked for your service, to the nation. So that service to the nation is very important. The other part, and I know a lot of our, high schoolers and college high schoolers are looking to go to college. There are a lot of pathways within the military that offers you that opportunity to go to college where you can actually leave out of college debt free, whether it's an Army ROTC scholarship, whether you want to serve in, one of the state National Guards and they'll pick up your college bill or something like that. Or if you don't want to be an officer, if you want to enlist, you can still enlist and take advantage of what we call tuition assistance and stuff like that, and still be an enlisted soldier and get your college degree. So there's the educational piece also. The other part is just traveling. Like I told you before, I was from small town Arkansas. So my first duty station was Germany. That was a big shock for me because I had never been outside of Arkansas. But as you get to travel around and not only see the country, but see the world, that's huge. It's a major opportunity, and it all comes at the it's at the military's expense. It's not an expense out of your pocket. And then some of these places that you go like Germany and stuff like that, you can explore different places like Italy and other different places. So traveling is definitely a plus. So I would tell any young person, just talk to somebody that's in the military, hear their Army story, and then if it's something that you're interested in, talk to one of the recruiters, whether it's ROTC or our National Guard or active duty recruiters, and explore what other options are out there.
I know we have a mutual friend in Christina Mills, who is a big success, I know, at UT Martin, and has gone on, she was a docent here for many years and, just did a phenomenal job. And you could see where the military impacted, her ability to do her job here.
Yes. Yeah. Christina is an amazing young lady. I met her, I think she was her sophomore year when I first met her. And the first time I met her, she told me, I want to be an infantry officer. And I thought she was going to change her mind like most of the cadets do. But throughout her time here in ROTC, that's what she wanted to be. And she set her mind on it. And that's what she's successfully doing now down in Texas. So, but Christina's one of those that, I think you say like it's a success story for not only the University of Tennessee at Martin, but for the Army also, because you can see that there are opportunities for anybody. If you want to do it and you put in the work to do it, you can do it and you can succeed at it.
And I follow her on Facebook, so I've seen the success since she's left here. I mean, she's really doing a phenomenal job.
Yes, yeah. I talk to her almost every week. She's doing great. She's going to do great.
That's good. Tell her I said hi the next time you talk to her.
Yeah, she recently got married. I think her husband worked at Discovery Park also, Julian Smith.
Yep,
So
Julian's still here. Yeah, he still works every once in a while, and yeah, he's a great guy as well. I hate that they're not here every day, but I'm glad they're doing cool things elsewhere.
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I'm going to ask you all about the ROTC. I've got a lot of questions about that.
Okay.
With Final Flight Outfitters, you don't have to hunt for the world's best gear. The best of the best, selected by some of the world's best hunters, can be found in their Union City store, in their catalog, and online at finalflight.net.
I hope you're enjoying the Real Foot Forward podcast from Discovery Park of America. If you are, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a positive review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our very special guest today is Lieutenant Colonel Bernard House, and we're talking all about the military. He is an upcoming honoree at the Discovery Awards for 2025. And next, we're going to talk about the ROTC. I know a tiny little bit because I did a little bit of research. It was formally established by the National Defense Act of 1916 to train college students as reserve military officers. So I know that's sort of the beginning. Talk to us a little bit about what actually is the ROTC.
Yeah, so it's kind of what you said. So it's an opportunity for our college students to train, and then upon their graduation in 4 years, they were commissioned as officers in the United States Army. So what ROTC is, and this is what I tell everybody, it is a college course, and then with some additional training built into it, which is our physical training, and then we also go over some military customs and courtesies and some of the tactical training. Your freshman and sophomore year in ROTC, you will take a 1 week class, 1 day class once a week. It's a 50-minute class, and it teaches you about leadership. And then we do a lab where we talk about, the customs and courtesy of the military, drill and ceremony, that types of thing. So that's your freshman and sophomore year. In your junior year, we get you focused and get you ready to go to what we call cadet summer training, which is now at Fort Knox, Kentucky. It's about a 38-day camp, and you get evaluated on the leadership skills that you have learned on campus, and you get some more feedback to develop you into leaders. So that junior year, that's your total focus on campus, is everything that you're going to get evaluated with at camp. And then when you come back for your senior year, that's your transition courses. So we're teaching you everything that you need to do to transition from being a cadet into a Army officer. And then upon graduation, we will commission you as a second lieutenant into whatever branch you either have been selected into or assigned to. Cadets have the opportunity to either commission or compete to commission into the active duty Army, that's what I did after coming out of college. Or if you say, hey, I still want to serve my country, but I want to have a civilian job also, you can commission into the National Guard or the Army Reserves, which is a 1 weekend a month drill. And I think they do two weeks out of a year as their annual training. And you still get the opportunity to serve your country and also work as a civilian job.
And so doing all that, do you get your college paid for?
Yeah. So if you come in as on an Army ROTC scholarship, that will cover your college. Also, if you come in what we call a simultaneous membership program, or 09 Romeo, through the National Guards, either in Kentucky or Tennessee, that can also you can use what we call Tennessee Strong, and that will pay for your college also. And then upon commission, you will still commission as an officer. If you don't come in as a scholarship cadet, you can still contract, and you still will receive a cadet stipend every month, which is right now it's around $420. So, and there's other scholarships out there through the universities and stuff to pay for your college.
You see changes in every generation is different, and you have boomers and you have Generation X, and do you see different behaviors from different groups of young people, whether you have more people wanting to sign up or less people, or do things that happen in our country impact, like 9/11? Did that impact more signups? I'm curious about the implications of those type things.
Yeah, well, everything that I read, I heard that 9/11 did cause an increase in people who wanted to enlist and serve. I was already I was a captain at the time when 9/11 happened. So I know it was an increase at that time. Nowadays it's kind of a mixture, to be honest with you, because you still have people who want to serve their country, whether they're trying to follow in one of their parents' footsteps or grandparents' footsteps who served in the military, or it's just something they're interested in doing and they want to serve their country. And then it's, naturally it's the benefits out there for college and stuff that some individuals sign up for to, be a first generation college graduate and their family, and they come through the military way to pay for the college there. Now, as far as the different generations, you're correct. All the generations are different, whether they're X or boomers or Z or whatever we at now. But I'll tell you that the foundation is, one, they still want to serve the country honorably. They just kind of think differently. And I think the generation we at now is honestly where we need to be in the military, because we got things, we got things going on in cyber, we got social media, and these young adults that I'm teaching right now are well versed in that. They know the ins and outs of everything. They're dealing with a computer and how the thing work. So I think those are the individuals that we kind of need in our military right now. So yes, they're different, but they're same in the fact that they want to serve honorably in our military.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us and talking to us a little bit today. And then also thank you for what you're doing for this whole region to get these young folks excited about serving in the military and to get them ready. People like Christina, I'm sure you've made a big impact on her life. And so we're grateful to you for that. And I will look forward to seeing you at the Discovery Awards.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I'm definitely honored, and I'm looking forward to the Discovery Awards Gala.
Absolutely. And thanks to all you listeners who've joined us today at Discovery Park of America. Shout out to our friends over at Final Flight Outfitters for sponsoring today's episode. Our mission here is to inspire children and adults to see beyond. To plan an experience here for you and your family, visit discoveryparkofamerica.com.